Welcome to Vital Step to Wellness, the podcast where we talk about everyday solutions to everyday problems. I am Marcia Torres, and together with my co-host, Heidi Honrado, we are excited to bring a special guest every single time we meet. And today, we have the honor to introduce Heidi. Please make the honors.
Hello, Khaleda. How are you? We have Khaleda Shah here with us today. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Well, hello, Heidi. Hello, Marcia. So good to see you ladies here. Peace be upon you both. Thank you for inviting me.
Khaleda is the founder and CEO of ShahJaan's Healthcare Training and Services. It's a company that is dedicated to empowering individuals through healthcare education and services. Recognized by Marquis Who's Who, Khaleda is passionate about reducing preventable deaths by training individuals in basic life-saving skills, such as CPR. Her vision is to have at least one person in every household equipped with these essential skills, starting with educating children to foster a culture of health awareness and preparedness. ShahJaan's Healthcare offers specialized programs like phlebotomy training for high school students, mobile phlebotomy services, point-of-care testing, and holistic health coaching, creating a comprehensive approach to improving lives. Your mission to reduce preventable deaths motivated you to focus on life-saving skills and healthcare education. Like, what motivated you to do that?
Oh, well, thank you, Heidi, for the beautiful introduction and your kind words. The motivation, it literally would take us back to the times where my parents were kids. And oftentimes I do get emotional when I share my backstory and what motivated me and what inspired me. The motivating factor, I believe and feel, has always been a dormant passion and ambition, which then later on in my life became fuel to ignite and to kind of force me to do something about it and awake those passions and take action, which then created ShahJaan's Healthcare Training and Services. Motivation was my parents and their love and their appreciation of life. My parents actually went through the Bangladesh genocide, the war that took place, the liberation war that took place in 1971. With all the horrific situations that they had to experience, it instilled in them appreciation for life, and not just their lives, but the lives of others, because they have witnessed, children being killed. They've witnessed, women being subjected to unspeakable violence and disrespect, villages just being bombed for no reason, without any warning. They were forced to learn to appreciate life. My dad, he actually experienced a cerebral stroke back in 2020, which left him bedridden due to him being left paralyzed completely on the left side. So him being bedridden kind of gave me also an opportunity to spend more time with him. Coming home from work, I would always run to him to share how my day was, and he was always excited to hear about how my day was, never getting bored about it, asking me all the details of how it was. With this cerebral stroke that left him paralyzed, he was also suffering from progressive dementia. And what we know about progressive dementia is it's very slow, and those suffering from it, they tend to forget, they lose their memory, they forget a lot of things, and oftentimes they go into experiences or when they experience certain memories, they cannot differentiate the difference between it being a memory and a reality. So in their mind, it's a reality. So I would often find him when he would share the stories with me of the time of the genocide and the things he experienced. He would share it with me as if it was happening to him, and he was literally reliving it. Through his stories, I was getting that experience, so to speak. That was like our nightly thing, where he would share those stories with me. And I hated that he had to, relive it, but he also needed an outlet. And so I was there for him. And in a way, he was also instilling in me to appreciate my life. And I was going through a very rough patch in life at that time also. So I was slowly starting to appreciate my life, the things that I have. Basically, going from that compelled them to become the helping hands for underserved communities. My parents migrated to America, and the migration took a while. My dad had to go from, different countries to figure out what would be a suitable place for him to settle where his children would have a good upbringing. So he settled in America and we came here. Me growing up and seeing the default setting of our family dynamic is to appreciate life and be grateful for just breathing, the simple things. Everybody does that. But in 2020, when I got much older, I'm like, no, not everybody appreciate the life that they had. I didn't, because of the rough patch that I was going through. So that was like the dormant, default thing in me that life is good, we love life, we help others. Around that time, what ignited the fuel to start doing something about it was actually an incident that took place here in our Buffalo community when we lost a community member due to a sudden cardiac arrest. The gentleman's family they were new from Bangladesh, and he had 2 children, his wife. They were present at the time of the incident. They did not know how to perform CPR. They did not know how to respond to the situation to call 911. Later on, I heard what they were doing was calling family members like, hey, this is happening to my husband. What should I do? This is happening to our dad. What should we do? They were running to a neighbor's house, figure out how to handle the situation. So you can imagine the time that was lost while he was valuable time. And if we look at studies, we learned that if CPR is performed within 2 to 3 minutes of the cardiac arrest, and this is just a heart attack alone, there's other emergency situations that take place, stroke, choking, so a lot of other things, or food allergies and things like that. If CPR can be performed within 2 to 3 minutes, it increases the chances of that person living by 70%. That is huge. That's more than giving someone the chance. It's huge. So you can imagine by the time that they went to the neighbors for help, they called family members for help and trying to figure out, it was too late. Unfortunately, the gentleman passed away. And when I heard the story, it did not sit too well with me. And you two ladies also being in the healthcare field, when you hear stories like that, the first thing that comes to your mind perhaps is this could have been prevented. If it took 20, 30 minutes for the paramedics to arrive, so much could have been done within the first 5 minutes. Even just a simple phone call to 911. Paramedics could have arrived 10 minutes earlier rather than 20, 30 minutes later. So that did not sit too well with me. So I went back to my parents and I said, I feel like you both have sacrificed so much. And I was telling my dad, your dream to want to help others, your mission in doing that, the genocide couldn't stop you from it. The war couldn't stop you from it. The traveling to check out Europe, Bangladesh, America, checking out new places, the barriers, it did not stop you from wanting to help others, save lives, touch lives, empower others, inspire others. I feel like and at that time I was just working a corporate job. I was just climbing the ladder. And I said, you both have sacrificed so much. And yes, I love that I'm just, I have a very good job. I have a good life. I'm happy, but I don't feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose in life. It's not sitting too well with me. I am not okay with that. My dad, he's a very clever man. He doesn't say much, but the things that he would say, it gets you thinking. He says very little. I can have 1 hour. It's very powerful. I can have a 1 hour conversation with him where I do most of the talking and he would probably talk for like 10 seconds. And it's like it wraps up everything and gets you thinking. And he said, what's bothering you? What is it that's making you feel like you're not living a purposeful life? And I said, you sacrifice so much for me to just collect paycheck and live a good life while children are losing their dad. This woman lost her husband. For some reason, it's just not sitting too well with me. And I was also expressing, I'm very calm here now, but when I was talking to him, I was like very frustrated. Like, why aren't the school systems teaching children these basic life-saving skills? Why aren't community centers or Saturday Academy or Sunday school or churches, why aren't they taking the initiative to do something about it, to teach children these detrimental skills that they need? And he said, why aren't they? And so now, because he asked me that, I'm like, why aren't they? And I thought, he said, why do you think you're in a position now where you're questioning why they are? And I said, well, I feel like I'm questioning now because this incident is not sitting too well with me. So it got me thinking, perhaps, those in charge of the school curriculum and what's being taught in the schools or community centers, perhaps they didn't experience what I've experienced. And even though it wasn't a direct experience, I heard the story. And he said, well, is this experience enough for you to do something about it? And I said, I'm just a tiny little person. What can I do? And he said, it just takes one. And he said, you figure it out, And that got me thinking for days and weeks. And I am fortunate to have my parents. It feels so good to come home and share my stories, knowing that my dad will listen, my mom will listen. But those children are under 12, both of them. They're going to grow up without having that father figure, without a dad who is your best friend. And I said, this gentleman losing his life has sparked something in me. And going back to my parents living through the genocide and their dreams still living on after that, they have decided in that moment that, you know what? We have to make something positive come out of this negative experience, of this negative incident. And when my dad said, well, what's stopping you from doing something about it? This gentleman, there's a reason why that story reached my ears. And I don't want his children to think or feel that their dad lived a life and then he died and that's it. Their dad's death sparked in me to do something about it, to bring ShahJaan's healthcare training and services and provide CPR training starting from kindergarteners and up. With the other organizations that we see around literally everywhere, they focus on the professional levels. So providing CPR training to healthcare professionals, those in the medical field working mainly for career or job related reasons. And I said, although I provide it for those individuals and organizations, I want to start from younger children.
So you share a lot of great points, right? The story that inspired you about your family, like moving from Europe to here, and just for your father to have that eagerness to find the right place for the family to be safe. Right. So that sparked you curiosity. And I can see also that the need of creating awareness on children and families, but also in immigrants.
Yeah.
In general, the resources that a lot of times we don't know. Right. That's what also resonated with me. I know you didn't mention much, but I would like for you to expand on that because I feel that each one of us, like I came here when I was 20 and I knew everything about my country, like the food and everything. When I came here, I felt like I had no eyes, ears, or hands. Right. When I went to the supermarket, I had no idea what I was reading. It was very frustrating. When it came to emergencies, I had no idea how should I communicate with people?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that your mission is amazing. And I would like for you to share with us, how are you empowering the communities? Because I know you do that work. You're focusing on children today, like you mentioned that. Share with us, how are you focusing on helping immigrants, communities in general, just to have those resources, just a simple calling, hey, you need to call 911 when something like this happens. People don't know. And you brought a very good point.
That's a great question. Basically, I know 3 languages. Apart from English, I know the Bangla language and a little bit of Hindi. So the 3 of us, we know that the CPR trainings, BLS, AED, first aid, anyone who is fluent in English, they can go to any organization, any centers and get that training. They'll understand it. But again, we want to go back to helping those who don't have the resources, who have that language barrier, who don't understand the, new immigrant here in America, like Marcia mentioned, coming in her 20s. It was very difficult for her. And oftentimes we see that those who understand English, they will find a way around to learning the things that they need to learn in order to go by. But those who are new, they don't know. My parents also mentally beat us to learn and speak the Bangla language at home. And I am so grateful that they did that, because that gives me an opportunity to reach to the Bangladeshi community, to the Hindi speaking community members, to bring these services in those languages. So it's not just in English. We can cater to Bangladeshi speaking individuals, to Hindi or Urdu speaking individuals. And I also am looking to collaborate with other languages, but adding people in our team who can provide these services in the languages that's needed to reach a higher horizon of audiences and individuals. That's definitely the mission. But based on the languages that I know, I am providing it in English, in Bangla, and in Urdu.
That's awesome. And Marcia, thank you for that question, because it did resonate with me too. All three of us were immigrants, so it's like, how can we reach? And I think overall we do different things, but overall we want to reach our community.
Right.
And just how you shared with that gentleman, the family was calling the neighbors, and that's not just in that culture, it's in all of our cultures, right? They just go with, oh, do you know what to do? Or this is what so and so did, and that is so hard to break, not only with such an emergency like that, but even just overall in healthcare. And it's like, how do we continue to break through these barriers to really get the information out and show them that they are empowered, that and empower them to make those decisions. And even if it's a language barrier, but still you have the right to feel comfortable enough to say, pick up that phone and not be embarrassed. Someone will figure out to translate, but just knowing those things, that they have access to those services. I think it's great what you're doing. Because just as simple as we say, simple as breathing for us, or just call 911, but it wasn't as simple for them.
It wasn't. And when you're in that situation, even with us healthcare professionals being trained to respond the right way in situations like that, my dad actually experienced his cerebral stroke at home, and it was about around 2:30 in the morning. And I was there, my mom was there. Even though I am fully trained, I am capable, I was still in shock for a few seconds. But because of the training and the understanding, I was able to snap out of it a lot quicker than those who were around me. And I looked around and I said, oh my God, I was able to acknowledge that everyone is in shock. And my dad was on the floor. And I said, snap out. And I said, pick him up, put him on the bed, call 911. I started checking his pulse, his blood pressure. It was skyrocketing, So I cannot even imagine for a healthcare individual to still experience shock and be able to snap out of it. For those who do not have that training, to be in shock and stay stuck in it, I wouldn't expect any less than that. It wouldn't be normal for them to snap out of shock without any trainings or understanding of what's happening. So it's really the acknowledgement, knowing that, hey, I'm going through shock right now. This is still what's happening, and this is how I need to respond. Once you create these pathways in your brain with the help of the basic life-saving education, it's like it's your body, your mind, your brain, it just knows what to do in those moments. It's like saying step 1, step 2, step 3, and it's just repetition. And when it actually happens, you're like, shock, I felt it. Let's go. What are we doing about it?
When you don't have that awareness, because it's awareness to know something, and the education and how to react, a lot of people feel guilty.
Yeah.
They had something to do with the whole experience.
Yeah.
That is also another component of why the mission that you have is just something that is needed, because we prevent those psychological experiences to get trauma, which is harder to get out.
Right. And that's a very good point that you brought up, Marcia. If you look at the trainings and the services that we provide, you will see that it's a full circle of life. We provide our trainings to kindergarten, who are the future, our future. And then we work with high school students to give them an upper hand on getting a kickstart to their career by offering our phlebotomy program to juniors and seniors in high school. Although we provide it to professional levels also, we focus on high school students to give them that kickstart. So we've worked with kindergarteners, then we've worked with high school students for their milestone to get a kickstart to their career. And then you look at our services that we provide, the holistic health coaching and mentorship, career planning. So we're taking these high school students to now career planning. And then we are bringing our phlebotomy services to serve those who cannot go to a clinic or doesn't want to go to a clinic, where we travel to them to serve their needs. And we find that most of our clients are older clients or very young children who are scared of the needle and don't want to go to a clinical setting. So if you look at it, we are working with children, with middle age to older adults, to literally how do we cope with grief after losing a loved one, right? With the holistic health coaching approach. So it's like a full cycle of like everything that you really need to get through with life. Like, okay, we helped you understand the human body and how to respond to a situation like that. Now you're left with this trauma. Okay, Khaleda, you told me to put my emotions aside and address the situation, assess, call 911. Now, what do I do after with the trauma with the
So you
emotions
have,
that I
yeah.
put on the shelf and kept it aside? Because that's going to continue to go with me until I process and let it go. Now, a lot of people don't understand that it needs to be processed. And if it's not processed, it will show up in other ways.
Yeah.
Grief can show up in so many, and it's not just grief
Yeah.
of losing someone, but going through any emotions that's not processed. I often tell my clients that just like we drink, we pee it out, we eat food, we poop it out. Emotions, once we feel it, it goes through our body. It has to come out. There has to be an outlet. You
That's
either
right.
journal, you either talk about it with someone, you exercise it out. It has to come out. You need to address it. That is the only way through it. So
Yeah.
we not only equipped our clients to put their emotions aside for a minute to handle the situation, but come back, take the holistic health coaching with us so that we can now take care of you.
So you have
Yes.
a team that helps with all that life cycle that you installed.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
It's all teamwork.
It is,
Very
yeah.
nice.
You deal from the training to the mental part of it, which is
Yeah.
it's powerful.
So you're really passionate about teaching people how to save life, especially to children. I would like to hear from you. What is your plan to get into the school systems? Oh, you already are there.
Yeah, so 2025, our plan is to have this proposal, bring these proposals to schools, to community centers, to churches, to Sunday schools, to Saturday Academy, and really get the word out there. So when I got the invite to come to your podcast, I said, this is a great way to let people know that these resources, these programs, and these trainings and education is available. These services is available. A lot of people just don't know about it. So getting the word out there. My target audience is individuals who are in school. So kindergarten to 12th grade. Those after 12th grade, we still work with them, but it's like they know now. And there are other organizations who will very easily and very readily take them, but I want to create and provide these opportunities to those who don't know about it. Our mindset is, so this high school student graduates, they are now say 17. They have to wait until they're 18. That's a whole year. And now the program is 3 months to 6 months long. And then they have to wait to take the national exam. That's another few months. And then graduation, that's a whole year. So they're missing out on 2 years before they can start getting a feel of what the healthcare field is like. When we bring our phlebotomy trainings and our CPR trainings to high school students, we give them that kickstart to get a feel of what it's like to be in the healthcare field. So while they graduate with their high school diploma, they're also graduating with the certificate of completion of the phlebotomy program with ShahJaan's training and services. So graduation day, they're getting 2 recognition. As soon as they turn 18, they can take the national exam with us. They can start working in the field, So if you are a July baby, you graduate in June, you turn 18 in July, you can start practicing from the day that you turn 18 in the field. There's no waiting of like 8-9 months. So it makes your resume look good. And when employers look at your resume, and working in the corporate field, I've seen so many resumes. Things that make a resume stand out are those things where we see students starting to show, volunteer work during their high school years, doing extracurricular activity in the field that they want to be in. And then when we see certification while you were in high school, that's like this person is
that puts them above.
It really puts them above
Yes.
because as an employer, I'm seeing that this person is passionate, they are driven, they are ambitious. Because high school years, they could have just said, I'm going to take it slow. And once I get older, I'll figure it out. But they're like, no, I'm going to use my time to increase my credentials.
Yes.
Like to give the high school students that opportunity to get that kickstart, that head start to their career.
As I'm thinking, with the little ones and even from kindergarten, like kids, when you teach them something and they know that they have the power to help, to be needed, right? And to really be able to help out at home, even if it's in the kitchen, right? Oh, yes, I help mommy cook. Like, I think that's powerful. And I would love to as you develop this, to hear like what that curriculum will look like. I mean, that's powerful. But also when you mentioned with the grieving part of it, right? The trauma, are you thinking of something that would be connected maybe for children in terms of that? Because how we develop or the trauma we deal with as adults is very different than a child. Is that something that you're looking into for the future as well as you expand this?
Yes, for sure. So we work with children when it comes to the holistic health coaching also. So my dad, he passed away on September of 2022. And I didn't just lose my dad. My mom lost her husband. My children lost their grandfather. And my kids at the time were 7 and 5, 7 and 4. And I had to go through the grieving process and at the same time figure out how can I help my children because they were very close to my dad. My nieces and nephews who are also very young, under 17, all of them. In the process of me figuring myself out, going through the grieving process and helping my children and nieces and nephews, connecting them with resources, because oftentimes we cannot really help our own family members because we just know too much. It's a needed service because oftentimes when we do experience loss, we forget about the little ones. We think like they're so little, they don't understand, they'll get over it.
They don't know what's happening. Yeah, they do.
They don't know what's happening. But if you look at psychology of the human brain and the development of it, we learn and understand that up to the age of 8, they are just absorbing information. They don't say much until 8 or 9. That's when they start giving out what they've learned. So it's up to the age of 5 that their brain has developed, and then up to the age of 8 where we can instill what we want to instill in them because they're still absorbing. And that becomes the blueprint of how they will lead the rest of their life. So their coping mechanisms to trauma, their approach to happiness, how they solve their problems, how they deal with themselves, it's all embedded in them until the age of 8. And if we keep that in mind, really compelled to prioritize the children. When I was going through that after losing my dad, I said, I already figured myself out. And my children at the time were under 8. And I said, I need to focus on them because trauma can either shape them to be great people or break them.
Like make them or break them, yeah.
All of my programs and all of my services that I provide, it literally stemmed from everything that I've experienced in life. So I do work with small children and, obviously the approach of grieving, the approach of providing the CPR trainings is drastically different when it comes to the children compared to the adults. So we have a different approach, but we do break it down to their level so that they are able to understand and process and also know that it is okay to not be okay. And it is okay to feel our emotions. It's what we do with it. It's our response to it. Are we beating ourselves for feeling a certain way? Or are we saying, it's okay, I'm just feeling this way, but I am more than my emotions. I am beyond my emotions. I am not defined by my emotions. So instilling these little things in our little children, it's so detrimental, especially before the age of 8. Help them create that positive blueprint. After 8, it's not teaching, it's just guiding them,
Guiding them.
And just seeing what you have planted. The seeds are sprouting now. Once, I'm a nerd when it comes to the human body and the human mind, psychology. And sometimes I just look at them and I see, even though my daughters, they got the same mom, the same dad, but their upbringing has been very different. And I see the difference. And I need to bring this to parents, to bring them to an awareness that they have the power to shape and mold their children's future. It's literally in their hands. And it's not hard. It's just working smart around it, knowing when to use the key to open their brain, instill and leave. You don't have to be the annoying mom or the annoying dad, or you don't have to spend, 19 hours out of the 24 hours to instill in them. You can be subtle about it. Like my dad was. We would have a 1-hour conversation and only 10 seconds of him speaking, and the rest
drop the mic.
That's it. Done.
So what I see, ShahJaan's, here from what I'm hearing, it's like this overall life-saving mechanism, or just, I don't know, just amazing thing in every stage of life, right? I don't even know what the words to put it. And it's amazing what you're doing, and it's powerful. And what makes it more powerful is where it's coming from, right? It's from that passion. You said something that's very powerful, and it goes back to the children, that you don't want the kids of this individual who passed to feel like my dad just passed away, but that impact created this that is going to continue to change lives generations after generation. So that's very powerful. I wanted to put that into words together because it's just amazing what you're doing. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much for all this, and that was a great point, Haiti, that you brought it up. But what happens when we have so much fun? Time flies, right? It's flying, and I know
it is.
And I had a lot of more questions for you, but we're going to leave it now where it is. We'll definitely bring you back to see how things are going for you. We would love to hear the progress of your vision and how you're impacting the community, not only here in the area of Buffalo, but you're going beyond.
I would definitely love to come back to share updates.
And just let us know your last words of wisdom for the community, people that are going to be listening to you, and where they can find you.
So where they can find us, we are on Instagram. So I have several different pages on Instagram. The business page is ShahJaan's Healthcare, and my page is just Khaleda Shah, or is it Shah Khaleda? I think it's Shah Khaleda. Once you go to my business page, you'll find me. And then also on Facebook as Khaleda Shah, and the business is on there as ShahJaan's Healthcare Training and Services. We are also on LinkedIn as Khaleda Shah and also as ShahJaan's Healthcare Training and Services. Best way to get in touch with us is via email, which is shah.khaleda@shahjaans.com. But I do receive, I'm okay to receiving phone calls, text messages. All of our contact information is available on our social media platforms. In terms of last words for now, until next time. Until next time is for people to, step into the year 2025, believing that there is a higher purpose to your being here. It's not just going to school, having a job, making a family, but actually living a purposeful life where even if you cannot touch, empower, or inspire others, touch, empower, and inspire yourself. Be there for yourself at the very least. That can be the very least that you can do to live a purposeful life. And our services are available. We are very flexible with our services, all of it, the trainings, the healthcare services. If there are any topics that you need to be addressed that's not on our list, we will touch on those topics in the languages that you want. If I am not capable of speaking that language, I will have speakers who are capable to present it in the language. And one last thing is for our community members to keep in mind that if you need something, find it. It's out there. If you feel like you need it in life, that is because it's already there. So don't hold yourself back. Share it with the world so that they can also be a helping hand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you both so much for having me. It was so wonderful connecting with you ladies and giving me this opportunity to share my story and the backstory of ShahJaan's and the trainings and the services that we provide. I appreciate you and the platform that you have.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all what you have shared, Haiti, for always being there of all these podcasts. We're almost closing the year.
Yes.
We're so grateful for your presence, and we wish the best to ShahJaan's Healthcare, which is doing amazing things in the community and creating so much awareness to save lives. So until next time, where we also are going to have a very special guest coming on. So thank you so much for watching, and we wish you the best. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.